Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, I'm Renee, and today I'm going on a rant. I am angry. I am like beyond angry. I'm livid. I know that I'm not the only person who feels this way, but I feel like I have to rant about it anyway because I have been an avid player of The Sims now for years. I have played since The Sims 1. My sister and I owned The Sims 1 with probably not all the expansion packs, but a lot of expansion packs. And we loved playing The Sims. We played The Sims 2. We loved it. We've played The Sims 3. That's my personal favorite of The Sims games. And The Sims 4, which I don't even want to look on Origin and see how many hours I have, but I know that it's approaching 1,000, if not greater. So needless to say, I have spent years, probably 20 years of my life playing The Sims, and I love the game. It's absolutely one of my favorite video games. I play a lot of video games. The Sims is probably my favorite. And lately, The Sims itself has just gone on like these cash grab, obviously not for the Simmers for themselves making money, expeditions like Journey to Batu and now this collab with MAC. I just don't understand because this is like the laziest thing that has ever happened. Like both MAC and The Sims have the potential to be so creative. Like this is one of those collabs where I'd be like, I'm so angry that MAC isn't cruelty free because I'd pick it up immediately if it wasn't just a boring, basic, cool toned mauve palette in a Sims cardboard box. Like I'll just print myself a Sims cardboard box and then I'll get on with making my own palette. But that's what I decided to do today. I made my own palette themed around The Sims. If I were in charge of product design for MAC and The Sims, what would I do? And I had a lot of different inspirations for this because I was thinking you could either go the route of like picking colors, assigning them names, all inspired by The Sims because the names don't even have anything to do with The Sims in the collab. They didn't even try. Moon Rock, Sugared, not Sim-like at all. Or you could go the route of making it match the MAC Sims makeup that's in the game because they did do a collab where MAC made a bunch of makeup for The Sims in game. It's kind of, it didn't work out very well, but it could have at least been like, look like your Sims. Or you could have done any number of things that aren't just a repackaged old cool toned mauve palette in a Sims cardboard box. Where I went with it is that I picked a bunch of different single shadows from Sydney Grace Co., which is a smaller indie brand that you can like build your own palette kind of on. She sells a lot of really beautiful high quality eyeshadows. I own a lot of her singles. And then you can like buy your own magnetic palette, or they sell magnetic palettes on the site, and make your own Sims themed 9-pan. All the shades that I picked, Sydney Grace Co. is cruelty free, and all the shades that I picked are vegan shades. Most of their shades are vegan, so that was easy. And then this is what I would have done if I was in charge of this collaboration, which I don't know why they would have put me in charge, but I still think it's better. And for the record, I do not think that this is like the best palette that's ever been made, and I do not think that this is like the end all be all to eyeshadow palettes. This is just like what came out of my brain late at night in a rage-induced online binge trying to figure out what would have been better than the MAC Sims collab. I'm gonna move this way. Actually, I'll move this way. I'll put my palette here. Ta-da! And you can see what I've been doing. And I'll tell you guys the shade names beginning from left to right and then going down left to right. But regardless, I think it should be obvious which one is which. I'll have every shade's actual name on the Sydney Grace Co. website listed at the bottom as I'm talking about the shade so that if you actually wanted to go purchase the shade, you could. Up first, what had to come first? The first thing that pops into my mind when I think of the Sims series and when I think of inspiration for what I'd like to see out of a palette is this red shiny shade called Bella. And I think that it would be iconic to come out with a red eyeshadow like this in the palette and then do a matching red lip and sell that as part of the collection. Easy money. That is so easy. Bella Goth is one of the most iconic characters in the Sims series. She was in Sims 1 with her family in her red dress. She was in Sims 2 with the mysterious disappearance of Bella Goth and where is she? Sims 3 as a kid and Sims 4 now we've got her back. Always in that red dress. And she's a part of the Sims series that if she ever left, I think I would mourn her loss more than anything else. So of course, Miss Iconic Bella Goth had to go as our first shade. Bella's shade I would give as the iconic Queen of Hearts from Cindy Grace Co., which does make sense because Bella's a queen and she's my queen, and the shade is also named Queen of Hearts. So there you go. Second, another obvious one to me, like beyond obvious, is the Plum Bob. The thing that's been a constant throughout every game to show you which character that you have active. The Plum Bob is, if you're unfamiliar with the Sim series, this whole video probably doesn't make that much sense. But the Plum Bob is that diamond that sits on top of your current active Sim's head, and it will change color depending on their mood. But typically when they are in a decent enough mood, it is green, and it is another iconic part of the Sim series. Like, to the point, it's the Sims 4 loading screen is just a Plum Bob on a blue background. So why would we not have a green shade called Plum Bob? That seems obvious to me. The shade for the Plum Bob on the Cindy Grace Co. website is called Tempest, which doesn't really have as much of an association, but that is what the shade is called. Up next, we have an iconic blue, and when I think of The Sims, I think of blue, probably because I mostly play The Sims 4 nowadays, and it's got the blue loading screen background with a green Plum Bob on it. But even the outer packaging of the Mac and Sims collab is this blue shade, so obviously I wanted to incorporate the classic blue of The Sims into this palette. I called this one Sul Sul because if you're unfamiliar with The Sims, again, that's what the Sims say when they say hi to each other in Simlish. And that also feels like an iconic part of the series. I feel like Sul Sul is just, it's a part of the series. It's hard to separate Sul Sul from The Sims. That one is called Boy Crazy on Cindy Grace Co. The first shade on the second row is a white shimmery shade called Velvet on the Cindy Grace Co. website. This shade, obviously, is Bonehilda. She's my other iconic queen of the Sims series. Unfortunately, not yet included in The Sims 4. Apparently, she's coming back in this next upcoming stuff pack. For anyone who doesn't know, Bonehilda was a skeleton maid. You would buy the coffin that she sleeps in, and then every now and then when the house was dirty, she'd come out of her coffin and clean the house and go back to sleep in her coffin. Great part of the series, and definitely something that I think is iconic to The Sims. And also then gives you sort of that lighter white shade to play around with a lot of these more jewel-toned shades. So it worked in two situations. The next shade, kind of less iconic. Obviously, I wanted to include something that was a touch like a little bit of a matte, because even if this is never going to be a real palette, like at least then you would have some transition shade, which I'm sure you have elsewhere, but I figured this was an appropriate point to put this in. This shade on the Cindy Grace Co. website is called Grounds. In my palette, it's Fruitcake, and that is because even though it's not been like a long-standing iconic part of the Sims series, I feel like if you talk to anybody who plays Sims 4, Fruitcake is a very somewhat iconic part of that series, where whenever you move into a new house, you get a welcoming party with Sims from the neighborhood, and they bring you a fruitcake, which sounds so nice, but your Sim actually hates it, and it never goes bad. There's some hidden traits that you don't have access to decide if your Sim likes fruitcake or not, but it's pretty rare if they do. And it never goes bad, so unless you just throw it away, it just sits in your Sim's fridge, and then they get a negative moodlet when they eat it, and then I don't know, it's just one of those things where it's like annoying, but it's kind of cutesy and like a little bit iconic to The Sims 4. So I decided Fruitcake should be the name of one of the shades. The next one is this black shimmery shade, appropriately named on the Cindy Grace website as Black Ice, but even more appropriately named in my palette as the Grim Reaper. Grim is another one of the characters that's been around since Sims 1. And when your Sim or your Sim's pets die, Grim is so kind as to come and escort them to the afterlife. Every now and then you can even plead for your Sim to come back with one of your surviving Sims. He may be benevolent and let your Sims stay on Earth, or maybe it's actually their time and they have to go to wherever Sims go when they die. I have no idea. I feel like it's a really, really iconic part of the series. You can also befriend Grim, have romance with Grim. I feel like The Sims would not be where it is without the Grim Reaper, because it is such like a, I don't know, just an interesting part that the Grim Reaper genuinely comes and you can like befriend the Grim Reaper when he comes to like reap your dead uncle or something. Obviously, we had to have a shade representing him. I feel it's only fair. I feel as though he is on the level of Bella Goth and Bonehilda, so black ice for him. The first shade on the bottom row is this purple called Pandora, and I cannot really explain this one. I really liked the idea of this being a more jewel-toned palette because I think that that is very interesting and on trend, and I called this one Skill Point. And skill points are a very important part of the Sims series because that's how you gain skills. That's how you know how many skills in a certain area you have. So you could gain a skill point in logic or in charisma, and those help you advance in your job or do tasks more efficiently. Like if you have a certain high enough skill and handiness, you can repair objects to be unbreakable, that kind of thing. The skill point bar, from my knowledge, and I'm just trying to remember it from all games off the top of my head, but I think it's always been green when it fills up. So I don't know why I made this a purple shade. Probably because we already got Plum Bob up there being green, greens and blues. That's pretty iconic. I do, though, kind of associate, probably, I know why this is. I know exactly why this is in my head. I don't have a good enough explanation for you guys, but it's because when Sims get playful in The Sims 4, it glows around the green as purple. So when I think of, I don't know why, when I think of skill points being gained in The Sims 4, for whatever reason, the purple outlined bar that's filling up is what I think of. So I've made skill point purple, and I'm willing to debate that in the comments. Actually, probably not. I will not be accepting criticism at this time, even if it doesn't make any sense. The next shade is this gold shade, appropriately called Seize the Day on the Cindy Grace Co website. I have called it Aspiration. That is because that is another iconic part of the Sims games, that your Sims each have a aspiration, a lifetime aspiration, something that they're working towards over the course of their life that is independent of their jobs, or maybe dependent if your aspiration has something to do, you know, like a culinary aspiration. You may also be in the culinary career. But you could also have an aspiration to be a romantic Sim and to experience love and woo-hoos with half the town and be a astronaut in your career. So it's typically independent of the career, with milestones and goals to achieve that your Sim will want to do. I find this to be another really iconic part of the series. Usually you get some sort of perk or reward for achieving that aspiration. To me, it feels like a trophy. That aspiration, achieving that lifetime aspiration, feels like something accomplished and feels like a trophy, so I made that gold. And then the last shade in the palette, this was a little bit tougher because I didn't really know what color I wanted to make this that I hadn't already used. But this one is a matte shadow called Scuba Diver on the Cindy Grace Co website. In my palette, it would be called Pool Ladder. And this one I had to explain to my fiance when I was showing him my concept art for this palette. In previous Sims games, you could have a lot of fun by like hosting a pool party or getting Sims into your house or putting grandma in the pool and taking out the pool ladder. And that was the only way for your Sims to get out of the pool. They did not have the intelligence or mechanism to put their hands on the sides and force themselves up like you might if you were stuck in a pool without a ladder. So that was kind of a fun, neat little way to drown Sims that you didn't like. Kind of goes along with Grim Reaper above it, you see? See my connections there? Or to drown Sims that you did like. It was all up to you. Life is your oyster in The Sims. The Sims 4, they did unfortunately make it much more difficult to kill your Sims in the pool. It's still possible. You just have to like put up walls all around it so they have nowhere to like get up on, but they can get in without a pool ladder, which is like, oh, annoying. So pool ladder, to me, I feel like if you played The Sims growing up at all, you know how fun it is to kill Sims by drowning them in the pool. So I had to make an ode to that. So instead of making it the color of the pool ladder itself, I made it the color of the pool. Which makes sense, right? I think so. But yeah, so this would be what I would have put is as shades in that palette, and I would get a cute green and blue magnetic palette to put on the outside, and that would have been what my Sims collaboration palette. You'll notice it has almost no similarities to the MAC one, and that is how badly I think MAC and The Sims collectively failed at that. Not that they asked for or cared about my opinion, but I care about The Sims and I care about makeup as like my two greatest passions in life. Sorry to my fiance and my cat, but The Sims and makeup are iconic to me. And the fact that this is messed up this badly makes my blood pressure just all the way, because it's so easy. There's so much in The Sims. It's a colorful life game. You're telling me you could find nothing to represent life better than boring, bland, mauve shades? Like, I'm not accepting that. I refuse to accept that. I'm not buying that. Thank you, next on that for me. But yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed my my little chaotic rant there on The Sims and makeup. And I hope you enjoyed my palette. Again, I know it's not like the best palette that's ever been made, but I don't design palettes for a living. That is not my career, unlike @Mac. So that's what I came up with. It's a starting point. I'm sure if you were more creative than me, you could come up with a little bit more cohesion, but these are all my iconic parts of the Sims series. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. If you want to see more from me, please subscribe to my channel, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.